Next up, of course, we have the wireframe layouts slideshow for, of course, our medium resolution. So I'm just going to pan down the layout here just a little bit just by holding down my spacebar key. And once again, we're going to go and throw in a rectangle here now for our slideshow. So once again, I'll tap the M key on my keyboard. And I think what I'm going to do is, once again, just kind of haphazardly throw down a rectangle. Once again, because I've already figured out a lot of my numbers ahead of time. So go ahead and throw down a rectangle as well. And I went and tapped my V key as well to switch me back to the black arrow tool. And then once again, I'm going to head to the transform panel and throw in some values here for the dimensions. So I know that this guy is going to be about 650 pixels in width. However, once we get this into the world of code, I'm going to show you some really cool tricks for setting this guy up so that he scales. So in other words, he's not going to be a fixed width, but his overall width will scale depending on the resolution of the device that's being used to view this guy. Again, it's kind of a different way of thinking if you're used to, straight print design or fixed width web design. So in any regard, at this stage of the game, I'm going to go with a fixed width of 675 pixels. And the height for this guy that I'm going to set is going to be 300 pixels, just like so. Now, what I'm going to do is I'm going to try and position him just a little bit lower or just a little bit below the main navigation menu there. I want to leave a bit of a gap of space there, just as we had previously. And then I want to make sure that this guy's centered on the page or on the artboard here inside Illustrator. Previously, I showed you a trick to achieve this. I don't know if you remember this or not. It's inside the Align panel. So what I can do is I can flip over to the Align panel here, or I could use the Align drop-down menu from the options bar across the top. I could do that as well. Doesn't really make a difference. It's the exact same window. I want to make sure that Align to is set to Align to Artboard. And then what I'll do is I'll make sure that this object is aligned to the horizontal center. Okay, so I saw mine move just slightly. Perfect. That's all we need. Okay. Now, you know what? I'm going to keep going here with the wireframe layout. There isn't a whole lot to this wireframe layout. It isn't massively detailed. What we have next are the 3 content boxes, which, if you'll recall from our high-resolution wireframe layout, appeared vertically going across the screen, right? Well, what's really cool about responsive design is we can set it up so that our layout can change depending on the resolution of the device that's viewing the HTML page. I know that sounds kind of crazy, kind of weird. You're going to see some additional examples of this as we go along, but let me repeat that. The layout that you and I build can change, or it can adjust itself depending on the device that's being used to view our layout, to view our HTML page. Okay, so what I've decided to do, and this is a design-related decision that I've made, I've decided to change my layout for the medium resolution design, okay? So rather than having 3 vertical content boxes as we had in the high resolution layout, I've decided to have 3 boxes stacked on top of one another. So I'm still going to have the 3 content boxes. They're still going to have the same content, but I've decided to stack them on top of one another vertically instead. So here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to go and grab my rectangle tool out of the toolbox, or you can tap your M key on the keyboard. That's just fine as well. This time I think I'll single click with my tool to get my rectangle dialog box coming up. And I want to set it up so that these guys span the entire width of the layout. So I'm going to go 750 pixels. Okay. Now the height, once again, I'm not really 100% sure on the height. I'm going to go with 200 pixels for now. Okay. We may have to come back and adjust this. And then of course, when I go ahead and click on OK, there's my object now appearing on my page. And what I'll do here, I'll tap my V key on my keyboard to flip back over to my black arrow tool. And then what I'll do is I'll head back to transform, and I'm just going to change his X value to 0 so that he's lined up with the left edge of the artboard. Okay. The other thing that I want to do is I want to nudge him up. I'm just using my up arrow key, or maybe I'll hold down Shift and use my up arrow key to nudge him up just a little bit so that I have approximately an equal amount of space above and below the slideshow. Okay, something like this. All right, now I'm going to scroll down just a little bit because we need 2 more of these guys, right? I'm going to take this first object that I've created. I'm going to hold down Option here on the Mac or Alt on the Windows side. Hopefully I'm not going too fast here, but obviously we've done this once already, so I'm going to move a little quicker here now. And I'm just going to drag down a copy once again using Shift to make sure that this guy lines up perfectly. So in other words, this copy, his X value should be 0 as well. Okay, so just double check that on your own. And we need 1 more of these guys. Okay, I've left a gap of space there as well, by the way. We need 1 more of these guys. Here's a great Illustrator trick. When you're duplicating out content like this, we've made 1 copy. I want 1 more copy, so I'm going to hit Controller Command D on my keyboard. And what that does is that gives me a duplicate of the duplicate. Okay, and I could continue hitting Controller Command D on my keyboard if I wanted to get even more copies all spaced out in the exact same way as the original. So that's a very cool Illustrator trick. So once again, you can hold down Alt or Option, copy out an object, and then hold down Controller Command D, and you can continue hitting Controller Command D and get as many duplicates as you need. Okay, so there we go. There's our 3 content boxes along with our slideshow, which is great. However, I'm just scrolling down here. We've run out of artboard, so we need to go and fix that. And of course, we also need to go and insert our news feed as well.